Ladies and gentlemen, another episode of Over the Top Rope. As always, I've got my co-host, the man, RJ Silver. How are you doing, man?
Doing good, baby. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about some non CM Punk news, which broke today, which we will not be covering on this episode. We're gonna give it a day or two, see what happens, and because all we have right now is a statement from Tony Khan, and it's already been beat to death with with a stick. So let's.
You know,
I see.
I think it's the move. I think the timeline, uh, the wrestling community. I think we need something other than that to talk about. I really do. That's kind of taken over since about 4:30 Eastern. That
Yep.
really has been taken over the interwebs. So I think it's definitely something we need to just kind of hold off on and hit next time. And let's let that simmer a little bit. That wound is still open, and I don't want to trance around to no open wounds.
Yeah, yeah. That thing's fresh.
Yeah.
Speaking of fresh, this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a little bit now. I think it's a topic that just in the last couple of days started getting some traction. Freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy is having about the best championship run that you could possibly have.
Yeah.
He's I think he's had close to 30, I think, successful international
I think it's
championships
30,
defenses.
31, I think is the number. 31 successful championships is what I saw yesterday. Yeah, 31. It's crazy. It's absolutely absurd.
It is.
Especially from the guy who 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was, when he faced Pac, the big chant was he's gonna try, he's gonna try. But no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, no, you're fine. I think that's perfect to bring up. Is I think when you look at Orange Cassidy, you have to start from the bottom and work your way up with him as a character, with his move set, what he can and can't do out of the ring. And we talked about this before. I've said it over and over, and I'll keep saying it over and over. Dirt Sheets does a lot of the internet wrestling community's thinking for them. And in that community, I guess the Dirt Sheets, you have Jim Cornette. Jim Cornette has been on record saying that he can't stand Orange Cassidy as gimmick, the putting the hands in his pocket. He's so little, he just doesn't have it. He's not cares, he doesn't have it, which I think may have been true at the start of AEW, but in true Orange Cassidy fashion, he has put himself basically at the front of the line. He has put himself at the top. He's made himself all elite if you're into puns, and puns are what you're into. So I think that if you take everything, all the outside noise, push this aside, put it aside, and look at what Orange Cassidy does in the ring with the crowd during and with this championship run, I think you've got a great wrestler in AEW, and someone that you want representing the company, and someone you want to build up, someone you want to have a historic championship run of sorts. And I think that Orange Cassidy has taken this championship run and made it into something that no one ever thought he could make it in. And now starting to see a little bit of the half and half. People are loving his championship run. They don't want it to end. The other half, they're over it. They want it to end. It should have ended a long time ago. I'm on the side of let's see where this thing goes. If he has had 31 title defenses and he still has 50% of the fan base behind him, let's see where it goes. Now, I don't think it should be pushed to 60-0 or 60 to title defenses. I absolutely don't think that's the case. And I do think that maybe you give him 4 or 5 more and then have him drop it or consider dropping it. But I know with the pay-per-view tomorrow night, Orange Cassidy versus John Moxley. I think a lot of people are expecting Orange Cassidy to drop the belt to John Moxley, but I don't think John Moxley needs the belt. I don't think this is going to define him. I don't think this is a career defining moment for him. I think he's well versed. I think he's well over enough that he just doesn't need this championship. But I know a lot of people are thinking that if it's it, this is going to be it.
Yeah, I don't think Moxley needs the belt. I think the belt needs Moxley. That's what I think. I think so. First off, to start off, let's talk about Orange Cassidy. The dude's been in wrestling for almost 20 years. He debuted in 2004. So first off, if you're going to be in the business for almost 20 years, you know something. I mean, you know, whether all you know is just not to quit, he knows something. I think Orange Cassidy, the character, is one of the most hot. It's probably one of the hottest acts in all of professional wrestling, and it has been since about 2000 and honestly, probably about 2018ish, 17ish, even before AEW. I didn't follow a lot of his independent, stuff, but I was well aware of who he was, and I feel like I am a little more observant than the average wrestling fan. I like to do a little. I watch pretty much all wrestling. It's my obsession. So if I knew who he was on my radar. That tells me that he obviously was making waves. So that act has been getting over like Rover, as they say. So anybody that wants to say, I don't care who you are. I mean, if you're wanting to say anything about Orange Cassidy, fact of the matter is. I find out all the time people just have problems with my opinions, and that's okay. You're allowed to be wrong. But I check in with what the crowd says, right? Because last time I checked, Jim Cornette didn't buy a ticket to be there. Last time I checked, those people who are complaining and whining and crying online about it, they didn't buy a ticket to be there. I don't complain about music I don't listen to. Right? It's that kind of thing. The people who pay tickets and sell out arenas, because Wembley was, just about sold out.
Just about, yep.
And for one of I think there was only 8 matches on that card, 8 or 9, including the 0 hour. So, and Orange Cassidy, if I'm not mistaken, was on that card. I'd had a couple drinks. Wasn't Orange Cassidy on that card?
No, I don't think so.
No? Okay, I had a couple drinks. So, but he'll be on All Out. He'll be.
Yeah, he was in the Stadium Stampede match with. So he was
on there. Okay.
Yeah, he was in the. He didn't have a singles match, which nobody didn't have a problem with Orange Cassidy, a champion, not having a singles match.
Right.
But.
I think if anybody's going to complain about Orange Cassidy, being in the wrestling business, they are obviously just craving the days of 1982. And, like, it ain't going to happen, Chief. It just ain't. You're the same people that were mad when Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels took over. You know what I mean? Sorry, Golden Era's gone. Golden Era's gone. Now it's about building. And Orange Cassidy is the guy. He is the fans' guy. There's no getting around it. There's no arguing about it. He is that guy. He has taken that character, and that's when I found out he was a producer. It was one of the highlights of my day. Honestly, he is so smart with what he does. I read a quote from Hogan years ago, and he said, "If I had it all over, if I could do it all over again, this illustrious career where he worked 400 days a year, all out of all of the lies that he says, he said, if I could change it all, I would change my finisher. So that way I didn't have to land on my tailbone for 30 or 40 years, whatever it was." Orange Cassidy is going to be able to walk, run, do flips. He's going to be able to run a marathon when he retires, and he will be the most over guy then. I really believe Orange Cassidy has it figured out in a world that is surrounded by flips and don't get me wrong, I love it. I am all about it. I am not one of these I hate the flippies. No, man, I think there's flavors of ice cream. I really do, and I
Yep.
dig it. When Vikingo and gets on my screen, I'm jacked. Like, I'm all about it. But I will tell you, the fact that Orange Cassidy can make me buy into his match by trying is phenomenal. His catchphrase is "I don't have a catchphrase." Phenomenal. Just the thought process that goes into that character. I am so about Orange Cassidy. And as far as tomorrow goes, like I said, I don't think John Moxley needs that belt, but I do think the belt needs John Moxley. I think Orange Cassidy has had a phenomenal run. He has had a legitimizing run for not only himself, but for that title. One of the things that I've been seeing a lot of some people are still calling it the low man on the totem pole title, but there are some people that are also calling now the secondary title to the world title. So it's starting to have a shift in the wrestling community's eyes, where that title that came in and was kind of well, what are you doing with that? Well, now it's starting to really catch traction, and that has everything to do with the fact that Orange Cassidy has come out and 31 times in a row has come out and defended and made that thing mean something. And I think the juice, pun intended, is starting to run out. I really do. I'm not anything against Orange Cassidy, but I am of the belief that he needs to let go. I think this is going to be it. I think his body is too broken down.
Yep.
He has done nothing but show John Moxley, who is a legitimate, psychopath, in my opinion, of the best kind. But he's done nothing but show him over the last number of weeks that, hey, listen, my hand, my arm, my back, this is all screwed up. I think Moxley's taking that title, and it's going to elevate that title to heights that it's never been seen. I think it's going to get the run that they were hoping the TNT title did. I really do. And it's still a prestigious title, don't get me wrong, but I think the international title is going to quickly earn the second place title in All Elite Wrestling.
I agree with you a lot, and I think you put it exactly how it needed to be put. Would say, the belt needs John Moxley. And when the belt was dropped, or when the belt was presented, and we were all like, or Tony Khan was like, we're getting AEW International Championship. He said that title would be defended all over the world at all times. Pac did it several times at various other promotions. And with Orange Cassidy, we hadn't really seen that. He hasn't really defended it anywhere else that I'm aware of, that I know of, other than AEW. And we all know that John Moxley does Pro Wrestling Revolver. He does GCW. He does a couple of other promotions. So having that belt being defended in front of different fans other than just the AEW fans who are at the Greensboro Coliseum, I think will also have that title have a more prestigious feel to it. And I know when the Acclaimed were tag team champions, they came to Winston-Salem. I think you were just up there, AML Wrestling. And a lot of people here, local, they went to the show, took pictures with the Acclaimed. They wanted pictures also with the AEW Tag Team Championships.
Off topic, how awesome are the new 6-man titles with the scissor? That's fun. That's so fun. I love wrestling.
I love it. And I haven't heard anything about it, but I know that Jim Cornette's blood pressure is probably somewhere close to Jupiter at this point, seeing those. But I don't really. I think that Jim Cornette has some decent points on some things, but other than that, I think much like me and you mentioned on the first episode we ever did, just old man yells at cloud kind of thing, and you can't prove it. There's no way to prove it or say anything, or there's nothing there. But I do think deep down there's a little bit of resentment from Cornette to AEW because it has lasted longer than Smoky Mountain Wrestling did. But I don't know. That's just pure speculation on my part.
Sure.
But with Orange Cassidy and the international title, I agree with you 100%. And I think all of your points were spot on.
I mean, it's hard to, in my opinion, it's just kind of hard to argue a lot of that. But after, as far as Orange Cassidy, I think we've kind of hit the nail on the head. How do you feel about moving on to our next segment?
Talking about sports entertainers.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's a kind of a question that I wanted to pose to you. Over the last couple episodes, you've been really good at leading us into questions and that kind of stuff. And this is something I thought of, I think yesterday or today, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get your take on it, see what you think. So Daniel Garcia, who I think personally is on, I wouldn't say the run of a lifetime, but he's definitely in the spotlight right now, a lot more than he has been over the last number of years. He has kind of, since the JAS broke up, has been hinting at going back to being a wrestler and going away from that sports entertainer mindset. In today's wrestling, and I mean, because I watch WWE, I watch AEW, I watch Impact, MLW, I watch NWA, World. I got Women of Wrestling. I could be here all day telling you what I watch, and you're the same way.
Mm-hmm.
What do you, in today's wrestling, what do you think has a more of a, how do I want to word this? What do you think draws more? Let's say that. Like, where do you fall on that scale between sports entertainment and pro wrestling? And that includes the Zack Sabre Juniors of the world. When I
Mm-hmm.
say pro wrestling,
So I definitely, without hesitation, can definitely say that I do think it is the professional wrestlers of the world that can go out and give you pretty much any type of match. They're not just one dimensional, they're not just one sided. I have friends, much like you probably have friends, who at an independent show, you can watch them have just an absolute banger of a match, few spots, mostly wrestling, and then on Friday night, and then on Saturday night they're in a death match, and they're doing all kinds of crazy shit. With taking the death matches out of it, because I personally don't see that as being so much as wrestling, but I think it's your Brian Danielsons of the world. I mean, let's just go back before JAS. If you watch a lot of Daniel Garcia's stuff as Red Death, when he was up in New York doing his independent stuff, it is some of the best professional wrestling you will see. And he can hold his own against anybody. He can go out there and give you one of the most technical matches you've ever seen, or he can go out there and kind of do a few spots. And I don't think that he has to come out and just force himself on the mic down everybody's throat. I don't think that he has to come out and do some weird dances or something like that to get over. I think that your Brian Danielsons, your Kenny Omegas and stuff, I think that's what people want to see. I think that's what people want to watch. And on the same side of that, I think in the wrestling world, what we're getting kind of trending towards is people want to see somebody that can do the flippity, insanely athletic moves and stuff like that. If you look at Gringo Loco on Twitter, if you follow him, he's a luchador, does some of the craziest and hits some of the craziest spots you've ever seen. And if you go to the scroll, even as of today, you can see his retweets of stuff that he's retweeted, and it's people saying, "I've caught a glimpse of Gringo Loco. I'm now a huge fan of his. I went to a show. Gringo Loco was on it. I'm now a huge fan of his." So I guess that you would I don't really know if you would qualify, I guess, like the spot monkeys as sports entertainers or as wrestlers. Because to me, sports entertainers is somebody that's going to come out, be dramatic on the mic, and give you an extremely good promo and backstage promos in front of the cameras, backstage segments, that kind of thing. So I guess it depends on the individual's term of what is a sports entertainer. Because I'm sure there's people out there who think that somebody that hits a poison rana or a hurricane rana off the top rope is a sports entertainer because it's not technical wrestling. But at the same time, I personally don't look at it that way.
Right. No, and I'm the same way that you are. I mean, the style of wrestling can be a lot of things. It can be very technical. It can be lucha libre. It can be a brawler. It can, there's styles and techniques to professional wrestling, and there are people who are phenomenal professional wrestlers. To me, that sports entertainer is people that don't have that side of it, but they're all flash. They're all flash. And I think this JAS thing, because again, the internet is so opinionated, and I don't know why I'm even there. I don't agree with like 90% of them, because no, like people love to hate on Chris Jericho, and I don't understand why. Like, he literally is one of the greatest of all time and will go down as such. And they are trying to drag down, what did he do for all these people? Well, I tell you what he did. He took Daniel Garcia, who was a phenomenal technician. But he took Daniel Garcia and put the spotlight on him.
Mm-hmm.
And because I don't know who created that dance. I don't know whose idea it was, but I can tell you that in the moment, being put under that pressure, that dance emerged. I'm going to credit it to Daniel Garcia. It could have been anybody. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I will say in the moment, that was done. And he committed to it. And he made me enjoy it. The first time I saw it, I was like, what is this dude doing? And then the more I saw it, the more I saw him come up on Renee and get like, that is the silliest, most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It is the furthest thing from professional wrestling to me. It's so far away from being that technician, but it's that a little sprinkle of charisma that I think will just shoot him to the moon. Mm-hmm. I think, as putting it's kind of the same boat, 2.0 or whatever their tag team is called. I don't remember now. Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange. I think that little sprinkle of charisma, and Daddy Magic's nipples are hard, right? I think that stuff is so ridiculous. But as long as you have a genuine foundation that is so solid, you can't argue. It's hard to be mad at it, and I think that's what just shoots people to the moon nowadays. I think us as fans, we crave somebody who can actually go, because this is a fight. These guys are out there, and they are putting their bodies on the line, and they are doing everything they can. We don't want to see somebody come out and, scoop, slam, leg drop, 1, 2, 3. Hogan's got a pose. We don't want to see it. They'll get booed out of the building. We want some excitement. And the excitement doesn't necessarily have to be flips and dips and dives, but it can be, because traditional luchadors, all the way to the 30s, were doing that kind of stuff. But at the same time, here in the States, you have people like, Karl Gotch, Luthez, all of these great, great wrestlers, legendary tough men. But then Gorgeous George happens, and the game has changed.
Yep.
Right? Boxing is the exact same way. People have been boxing for years. Muhammad Ali hits the scene and things change. That one little drip of charisma changes the absolute just entire pool of all of the competitors. Now it's not necessarily about being the best UFC fighter. Now it's about beating Conor McGregor at drawing pay-per-views because he is so charismatic. Yep. Right? That is what brings that next level. You can be a phenomenal pro wrestler all day long. You can be a phenomenal technician. I think there are guys like, I mentioned Zack Sabre Jr., which honestly, Zack Sabre Jr. is, in my opinion, the best technician in professional wrestling, period. There ain't no room for, you can argue with me all you want, but you got better chances of getting the wall to change its mind, because I just firmly believe it. because Zack Sabre Jr. has been able to take his technician skills, and that is the charisma. And there's nobody like that can do that. And it's such a rare case that is the charisma, right? John Moxley is basically there when it comes to a brawler. He is so outrageous in some of the spots and some of the things he does in the ring that is what makes the sports entertainment. He doesn't need to do anything else. He doesn't need to do a silly dance because his ultra-violent death jitsu persona is going to put more asses in seats, and it's going to be better. He doesn't have to cut me a 12-minute promo. I don't care to hear it. He doesn't want to do it. He'd rather just go beat you up. And it's so good. It's just it's so phenomenal to me. And I think I really, really hope, and I'm sure he will, that Daniel Garcia will stay with the silly dance and take those little drips of charisma and continue to roll them into that phenomenal technician. Because there's very few things in life is worse than getting beaten up. The one thing that's worse is getting beaten up and having somebody talk crap to you while they're beating you up. You know what I mean? And that I think is what Daniel Garcia is going to be able to do. He'll be able to tie you in a knot and laugh at you, and he'll get the crowd to laugh at you, and he won't lose any credibility, and he'll be able to dance all on you. Like, it's just phenomenal. I really think that's what we're going to see, and I'm really hoping they're going to head down that road, because I think if he can stay with that and not go too far into that sports entertainment realm, because there are people on rosters, I'm not going to name them, but we all probably have that same opinion of some of these folks who are all flash and no substance.
Yep.
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, because they're there to learn. They're there to grow and that kind of stuff. So we're not going to be too hard on it. But I think long-term, if you're going to have a long-term career, you have to have both sides of that coin. And I think we're in a very pivotal point in Daniel Garcia where he's going to lean back to that professional wrestling technician that tie you in a pretzel and be able to captivate the crowd with it. And as much as I enjoy watching Wheeler Yuta wrestle, that's kind of there's something that needs to get added. He needs that dance. He needs some, in my opinion, and my opinion ain't worth nothing. Well, you just say it. I mean, I'm just this dude on, talking on the internet. But if I was buying a ticket, I'd want to see Wheeler Yuta have that, because that's going to be the difference. I really think so. I mean, I could go on forever about this, but that's my big point on it. I really think it's going to be a phenomenal next year or so. I don't know how long he's got on this contract, but I think it's going to be a phenomenal little bit for Daniel Garcia.
I agree with you 100%. And I was so excited when he won the ROH Pure Championship. I think he doesn't need a title, but I definitely think that he deserves one. He can hold them. He can run with them. He can elevate them. He can be the champion that everybody, us logical wrestling fans whose IQ is more than 42, knows that he can be. If you put him in a feud with someone for the TNT Championship, take 2 seconds, imagine Daniel Garcia win the TNT Championship. It works. You can imagine it.
Sure.
Now, if you were to, let's say, someone, I can't think of anybody right now, but there's a lot of wrestlers that if you think about them with the TNT Championship, you're just like, nah, I can't picture it. I can't see it. I could even see Daniel Garcia carrying the International Championship, and I just think that's the personality, the charisma, the background, the in-ring stuff that he has. I think he could very much hold pretty much any championship, including the World Championship, if pushed right and done right in a very delicate situation. I think that he very much could hold a championship, and 15 years from now, when we talk about AEW, we talk about one of Daniel Garcia's championship runs.
No, I'm there for it. I mean, I think he is a cornerstone player. I think he's definitely somebody that you want in that arsenal of talent. You want somebody that is so strong in that shooter persona, and I really think he matches it so well. And not to dog on Wheeler Yuta, because I
Yes.
think Wheeler Yuta is phenomenal in the ring, and I think this run with the Blackpool Combat Club has really brought out a lot of personality in him. Um, but as far as technical wrestling, and like especially with that pure division right now, man, I think Daniel Garcia is that guy. I really do. I mean, and I hate it. I hate it whenever my opinion lines up with so many others. I'm like,
Yeah.
I like to be different, but I mean, he really is that guy, man. He's on that run.
I'm right there with you. And this is going to bring it to my favorite part of the show, closing marks. I've got one in the chamber. I've had it in the chamber for about 2 or 3 days now. Closing marks is where we end the show. Each of us get a 1 to 2 minute rant about a topic that we did not cover. What you got for us, SilverFox?
Um, Specifically, it's not necessarily a rant. It's just some advice. It's just some advice. I think people need to learn how to bite their tongue and hold their opinions, especially now when we have a Saturday show for AEW. There ain't nothing worse than a bunch of people getting online and complaining and whining after Wednesday, going, "What's the card? This is a horrible card." Da, 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 da. You still have a whole show that could, in turn, double your card. Why would you even complain now? Because now all that's going to happen is on Sunday when those matches get announced, I want to go back and retweet you and go, "Hey, look at this. Remember this? Now you look like a moron." Learn to just bite your tongue. It's not. It's like I said. It's not a big rant. It's just a little bit of advice. I'm a little older. I earned the SilverFox. I didn't just buy this in a box. I've hit that level, baby. I'm there. It will serve you well to just hold off on your opinions, because I can't tell you how many people complained and whined about cards or something else that's fixed or that's brought to attention on the next show. All you got to do is just enjoy the ride. Be positive. Be excited about what you have going on. It's so much easier to take the low road. That's why everybody's there. Why don't you try and be different and, be positive about something once in life? I promise you might like it.
And just to kind of everybody complains that AEW does no long-term storytelling, but at 10:01 when Dynamite goes off, they're like, "What in the world it did? Did that make no sense?"
I don't. How do you complain about no long-term storytelling? Like, that is the most ridiculous thing. These guys have been telling stories about Adam Cole and MJF for like 6 months, 3 months probably. But not being like, I didn't mean to step all over your stuff. But go ahead. That's a good one. Go ahead.
uh, so the people that are watching this now, I want you to just listen to me. The people that are gonna watch this, I want you right here. I want you to listen to me. Please, for the love of God, stop retweeting and replying to the most ridiculous takes that are simply for engagement farming, now that Twitter pays people for engagement. And I seen one the other day, and it's all started with Edge is going to AEW. No, he's not. Shut your mouth. It's not going to happen. Just stop. But it's kind of built. And then yesterday, I saw a tweet. I've got a screenshot. I can't remember which account tweeted it. And I almost wanted to dox this person just simply so I could fly to their house that runs his account and punch them in between the eyeballs. It was a picture of Bray Wyatt with a caption that said, "Bray Wyatt was just set about to make his AEW debut," with a link to an article that they had written I didn't click the tweet. I didn't click the article or anything like that. And it had about, at the time, it had about 60 replies, 20 or 30 quote tweets, whatever you call them now, reposts, whatever. And the little thing where it tells you how many people have viewed it was like 276,000. There's no merit to this. There's no substance to this. It's literally a headline someone created just because they knew people would freak out about it, and Twitter was going to pay them X, whatever, for people freaking out about it, and people are going to reply, retweet, repost, and Twitter's going to pay these people for it. I just can't imagine using a guy that has been deceased for a week as a headline, knowing it's 1,000% false. And of course, the internet wrestling community is just like puppy dog lapping it up. And what are you talking about? You're so full of crap. You don't know what you're talking about. Of course, they don't know what they're talking about. They're getting you to engage with them to tell them they don't know what they're talking about. So, to wrap it up, be mindful of what you're looking at. Is it real? Is there something to it? Or is it just somebody trying to get paid by Twitter for you to engage with their posts? Be smarter than the average bear. Please, for the love of God.
So Bray Wyatt is it's very near. I never met him. Didn't know him. I don't know anybody in the Rotunda family. I have nothing personal at all. It's purely from a fan. But he was a very, very big part of my fanhood or fandom for the last couple years. If you use the deceased, you're more than welcome to. It's a free country, and people will pay you to do it. But I can, a much I respect in this world, and I definitely gonna respect you. That's a low road. Like yeah, and I get the idea of wanting to say, hey, listen, here are my favorite matches. Like I've been, I hadn't been on Twitter much over the last week because my timeline is filled with people who are missing Bray Wyatt. And I get it, same here. And I just mentally, I don't want to be in that headspace. So I avoid it and I stay busy. But I saw that today. I saw that exact post you're referring to, and I didn't click it, didn't like it, didn't do anything. And there's a special place, if you believe it or not, in my hell, you're there. Like, man, that's low road. Yeah. Not a fan.
Yeah.
Not a fan. Rest in peace, Wyndham Rotunda.
So. Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well,
that's going to do it for this episode. We try to keep it a little bit shorter. That way it's, a little easier for people to get through, a little easier to view. I think it flowed a little better. I think it flowed a little more smooth, and I'm very happy with the topics that we covered outside of the news that broke. And maybe we can try to squeeze an episode in on Tuesday, get past Collision tonight, get past All Out tomorrow night, and see where we're at then, other than having just a simple statement from Tony Khan that's just really not even worth addressing, in my opinion. And as always, go tell the people where they can find you on the social medias.
Yeah, come find me on X. I am at the SilverFox RSJ. On Instagram, I am the_SilverFox_life. And if you see where we have retweeted or commented or posted anything about this podcast, please leave a comment down below. Tell us what you liked about this shorter outline. Tell us what you would like to hear us talk about. Feel free to pop in there. I mean, this is not just our show. We're here to talk to you guys, right? I mean, we don't want to do this by ourselves. It's all about us growing together. So let's all do that. And you and I are going to have to figure out a date. I don't know about Tuesday, only because I am going to be traveling back to Winston-Salem I believe I probably will be traveling back to Winston-Salem for some undisclosed stuff.
I understand. I understand completely, and we'll definitely get something scheduled and get another episode in next week.
Absolutely.
I appreciate everyone that tuned in. I appreciate everyone that is gonna tune in. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Let's go, baby.